Let's move to this now. Family members of the South African victims who died when the Synagogue Church of All Nations building collapsed in Lagos are suing the church and all involved for damages. The 6-story building collapsed on the 12th of September 2014, killing 116 people. Of those victims, 85 were South Africans. But among the families, there are those who say they won't sue because they are satisfied with the investigations that took place at the time. Sambulo Myeni, who lost his brother in that tragedy, joins us now to talk more on this. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time this evening. Are you part of those who will be taking the church to court?
No, I'm not part of those. I'm not part of those. The claims that the families are suing the Synagogue Church, no, those are not. Those claims are not true. Those are false claims. Maybe some, but I'm not part of it.
And if you wouldn't mind telling us, why are you not then part of this particular group that is taking the church to court?
Well, there is absolutely no reason, because number one, Prophet TB Joshua was a victim, and the Synagogue Church is also a victim in this matter, together with us. But apart from that, Prophet TB Joshua and the Synagogue Church, they did their due diligence in helping us see that the building did not collapse just because of the negligence on their part. All right. If you look at the CCTV footage, that alone is proof enough that you cannot have a building of that nature collapse like that and you blame it on structural failure. Buildings that fall due to structural failure, they do not collapse that way. You cannot have concrete failing the same way from all angles and you call that structural failure. That was a controlled demolition. And we were also invited to Synagogue by the Prophet. We were taken to the scene of the incident. The experts and as well as the civil engineers were there to explain things to us. We were also given a chance and an opportunity to ask questions, and they were answered those questions and we were satisfied. In fact, one of the things I did not know that when you erect a building, you also check the soil upon which you want to erect the building, whether it's the right soil for the kind of a building you want to build. The civil engineers, they confirmed that even the soil upon which the building was the right kind of soil. They told us that the building, when a building collapsed as a reason or as a result of structural failure, structural failure will always happen on the foundation. The first place to check is the foundation of the building. The foundation columns were exposed to view. They were dug out. They showed us there was no stress found upon them. They were intact. There were no cracks. Even the material that was used to build the guest house that collapsed, it was of strong quality. And to my greatest shock was that the civil engineers, they said, with that kind of a foundation, the building could still go as high as 12 stories high. So they could still add 6 more stories to a building, you know. So the claims that the building fell due to structural failure, I don't buy to that, because a contradicting evidence has been given to me by the Synagogue Church, and I'm satisfied with it. If they claim that the building collapsed due to structural failure, they have to provide us with evidence.
So I take it as you say, then you don't agree with the assertion by some family members that there was poor workmanship here, and the structure couldn't simply hold all the layers and the levels that were built on top of it.
In as much as I'm not a civil engineer or like an expert in infrastructure and something like that, but I really do not buy to that idea. Actually, there is a man in Nigeria. He is a lecturer at, I think it's a Polytechnic in Kaduna, Polytechnic, and is also an MSc student in material science and explosives at the Nigerian Defense Academy. He did his own investigation, and to his finding is that, number one, he ruled out that the building could have collapsed due to structural failure or there could have been an explosion, because there was no carbonization on the structure, number one. And from the CCTV footage, when you watch the videos of the building collapsing, He did not see there was no thermal shock wave. So he concluded that the building was actually sabotaged by the use of infrasonic weapon, the infrasonic weapon. So he suggested that the building could have absorbed high energy infrasound, which caused its atoms to resonate, like the building to crumble.
And I'd like us to listen to one of the family members who are part of this, lawsuit, who, spoke to my colleague Nhlanhla Sihume a little earlier on in the day, and I'd like to get then your reaction to what she has to say.
The church says the plane bombed the building. If it is bombed, fine, you're saying it's bombed. So let it be investigated who bombed the building. If it was negligence, like the documents that were shown from the court says that they were supposed to build a 2-story building, and they went ahead and built an 8-story building. Now, the families here in South Africa, they only know what they've been told by the church. They don't know the actual truth of what is happening in Nigeria.
It sounds like some of these family members, according to her, they are still waiting for quite a lot of answers. And you say that the answers have been forthcoming and you were able to be taken through the different stages of this. So where could the broken telephone lines be here? Because families appear to be divided over this and they're sitting on two different sides of the fence.
Number one, we were not addressed by that. It was not the church that told us that the building, that the plane actually bombed. I don't recall the church telling us or giving us an information like that. But rather in the site of the incident, we were addressed by the civil engineers. It was the civil engineers who were addressing us and telling us things. So the truth is just right in front of our face. I don't know what more else they require from the church. Maybe the Nigerian authorities are supposed to actually give us the answers as to what happened. Because a big military plane like that, flying over a populated area, congested area, over a building that had occupants, that itself was a violation of the laws. The laws say if you fly a plane above if you fly a plane over a populated area or a congested area, the minimum altitude should be at least 1,000 feet above the highest obstacle. And that plane was even not above, it was not 1,000 feet above, it was so close. It kept coming. After the fourth time, a few minutes, the building starts to collapse. And you're going to tell me you're not going to look at that as one of the causes of the building to collapse. Now, unless we just decide to turn a blind eye to the truth that is already in front of us.
So some of the family members are saying that they want 10 million rand, at least that's according to some reports. And what she was saying, this one family member who lost her mother, is that for her it's important for them to get to the bottom of what exactly happened here. Now the families, some families appear to not be satisfied with some assistance that they may have received from the church, if at all. So talk to us then about some of the assistance in terms of finances that you would have received from the church. Was there such assistance? And also then, what do you make of the families that are asking for at least 10 million rand here?
Well, the church assisted us with, they gave us a financial support with the burial, of which I believe that Prophet Sabotage didn't have to do it, but out of his generosity, he did it just to support us, and I don't think that's a crime to give support to someone. By the way, he has been giving support to people from the beginning of his ministry, and also is giving support to people all over the world. So with the 10 million that the some of the families are actually asking. This is extortion. Seriously, guys, I do not understand where this is coming from. What is the 10 million going to give you closure? Is that the justice that you want, the 10 million? Settlements will not give us justice. Settlements will not give us closure. The truth will give us closure. So even from the words of Prophet T.B. Joshua himself, that no matter how long a lie is sustained, the truth will someday prevail. A truth has been covered up here. A truth has been covered up here. So to ask for a 10 million rand, what are you asking a 10 million rand for? What did he do?
So according to you, who would you say is covering up this truth?
Obviously, the Nigerian authorities have got to intervene in this area. They've got to intervene in this area. You see. And also the back and forth battle with the returning of the... It took us like 2 months to receive the first bodies of the bereaved families. Like 2 months. Jeff Harden had to go to Nigeria. I don't know whether to negotiate or to do what. But you see, there was a lot of things that were, like not really very clear about the whole matter as to really what happened. But I'm not going to get into that. But as far as suing the Synagogue Church, no. I'm not part of it. We are not part of it. And I really do not see it necessary because the Synagogue Church, they are victims just like as we are in this matter. So to sue them, I think these are just means of extortion now, to extort money from them. Even if they give them the 10 million, they are going to use it, and once it's finished, they will look for more accusations to impose and come back again for more. So let's just get to the important thing, Let's just get to the important thing. The Synagogue Church, Prophet T.B. Joshua, in my opinion, he provided us with enough information for us to really see that the building, as for the building to collapse, it was not their negligence. It was not their negligence. They followed all this. For them to say the building, they should have just built 2 stories. So why the civil engineers told us, but with that kind of a foundation, the building could go as high as 12 stories high. The building could go as 12 stories. So I don't know. Maybe there are people who just want him to be guilty. I really don't understand. But as for me, I am satisfied that the building did not collapse. Had it not been for that CCTV footage, I would have also been tempted to blame the Synagogue Church and say the building probably collapsed.
Right.
But the CCTV footage, I mean, even if you are not a civil engineer, even if you are not someone who's building, you cannot have a building fall like that. And you still think it's not a sabotage.
Okay, thank you so much for your time this evening. That was Sambulo Myeni, who lost his brother in that tragedy at the Synagogue Church of All Nations.